Hey everybody, it's Michelle, Trader Girl ATX with my end of day update for July 31st, 2025, and I cannot believe this month is over. Unbelievable how far we have come in 2025, and I think this every single day when I make these end of day updates. It's just getting to me how fast the days are screaming by. All that said, let's be quick. My total profit today in a practice account, $16,372.20. Win rate 72.16%. Profit factor 2.92. Average trade duration was 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Back to my kind of typical hold time. The last couple days I was working on longer and even got up to over 10 minutes hold time. I took 176 trades today. I trade a 15-second chart for NASDAQ futures. And I do these end-of-day updates to help bring some, what would you call it? I don't want to say clarity. I don't want to say consistency. I want to say honesty, kind of a behind-the-scenes look into what it's like to be a day trader. We have a very difficult task ahead of us to trade because most traders fail. 95%, 98% is the typical number that you keep hearing about traders who can actually become successful. There's a very high fail rate. I've heard that most people run out of all their money within about 30, 60, 90 days. So for people who stick around for several years, doing the work, not getting paid, actually losing money, there's a lot of emotional suffering that goes along with it. I do not recommend it to anybody unless you're going to be obsessed. If you're going to be obsessed, then you have the heart, the drive, the mindset to succeed because it's really what you want to do. Then bring it. Come on and follow me. I live stream every day, almost every day. Today I live streamed for 3 hours and 49 minutes today. Yesterday, I live streamed for 1 hour and 20 minutes. Was that yesterday? Yeah, that was yesterday. The day before that, how long did I stream for that? 4 hours and 40 minutes. So just depends on the day how long I go. Today I was long 59% of the time. And those are the main kind of stats. If you looked at a culmination of all my trading for the last 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days in a practice account, don't get excited because I'm not rich. In fact, I'm probably poverty status. Not gonna lie, I'm not pretending to be some big thing. I'm documenting my journey so you can see what I have sacrificed. I've given up everything, literally, to pursue this. And yes, there's some backstory going on. I had a man who pretended to be my boyfriend for months and pretended to be wonderful, turn into very abusive stalker, death threats against me, my kids, my ex-husband, and he's really wrecked my life in many ways, but I'm working on the comeback, and that's part of the issue here. In 2020, when I met him that year, in 9 months, I traded over, I think it was $250 million worth of proceeds trading my own funds. So if I had like a stack of $250 and I pass it to you and you pass it to me and I pass it to you and you pass it to me and we do that 1,000,000 times, that constitutes $250 million. So don't get excited. I'm not wealthy, never have been, but I'm working on it. My goal is to be one of the top 1% earners in the state of Texas. And it will be no problem because back to what I was starting to say, if you look at the last 9 days in my practice account, that's $84,832. So if you can do that in 9 days, that's an average of more than $9,000 a day. I could live on that. And yes, there's a big difference between being in a practice account and being in a real funded account or trading your own margin account like I used to do for years when I traded stocks. Trading futures is a very different thing, and they have these companies called prop firms, proprietary day trading firms, and they're companies that you can work with. You pay them a certain amount of money to take a test. There's a skills test, and if you can jump through the hoops and show that you can master the skills, you earn a certain amount of money within a certain amount of time, according to certain rules. Then they'll say, you passed your test. You can now be a funded trader. Now pay another bit of money. It depends what firm you're with, but it's not that much money. It adds up certainly, but it's cheaper than funding your own account. And then once you pass your test and you get funded, then you can trade, and then there's a profit split. They're not always the same, but typically it's like a 90-10 profit split where the trader gets to keep 90% of the earnings, which is great. So let's say you invest $300, or it's $150, let's say for the first test, then another $150 to pass the test. That's $300 investment, and potentially you could then turn that into $100,000 in gains over the next future months. It's possible. I'm sure there's somebody who does that. Eventually, those prop firms are going to tell you that you're making too much money and they won't let you trade with them anymore. But that's a problem for another day, and I'm not there yet. So I do have a girlfriend who's been kicked out of multiple prop firms because she's making too much money. And I feel badly for her, but she has a skill set. She's going to be okay. I know it. But anyway, so I'm working on it. And I do want to be one of the top 1% wage earners in the state of Texas, if you call it a wage. Anyway, that's a whole other topic for another day. And what else? Why am I doing this? Why am I in a practice account right now? Because I have passed so many funded accounts. The odds of passing are supposedly 3 out of $100,000. That's what I've heard. 3 out of 100,000 traders who attempt to supposedly pass. And that was something I heard from an interview with a man who owned a prop firm a couple years ago. And so that number stuck with me, to know the odds are not in your favor. It is very rare. But that said, I've probably passed 50 times. I've lost track. I don't even know how many times I've passed. But the thing is, once you've jumped through the hoops and then you do pass, then it's very difficult. So you're emotionally kind of raw because you're so ready and driven and you're ready to start making a lot of money. But then it makes you anxious. Like if you take a loss, then you start getting paranoid and your mind eats at you and you start thinking about your loss. And thinking about a loss just makes you take a loss. And this is why trading is so difficult, because you're fighting against your human nature all the time. Your amygdala, which is part of your brain that's concerned with fight or flight, is always trying to protect you and keep you safe. And when you are in a losing trade, you are not feeling safe at all. So literally your brain kind of shuts down and you can only see certain things in the charts. It's just wild. I could go on for hours and hours and hours about the evolution of becoming a consistently profitable day trader. And that's part of the reason why I'm doing this show, just to show people kind of a little bit about what it's like. I'm feeling really good about my journey right now. I feel like it's important to be honest and sincere and tell people what it's like. But man, I can't wait. I have big plans. I have endured a lot. I have worked so hard to do this. And so to be able to be living this life where currently I'm in the twilight zone where I'm trading like in a practice account and I can have a $16,372 day and make $84,000 over 9 days. Normal people don't do that. Right, Toby? That's my dog. Rah, rah, rah. Anyway, it's enough for now. I don't know if I'm going to post this or not, but take care. God bless. I'm Trader Girl ATX. You can find me on YouTube. Have a good night.